Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here with me today. My name is Kelly Egan, and this is the second episode of Nothing But Tracks. I want to thank everybody who listened to my first episode, and if you haven't, maybe go back and listen to it. So, today we're just going to go ahead and get right into it. I've been traveling a lot since I was a little girl. We grew up, we didn't have a lot of money. So, my dad would buy camping gear at the end of the year with his income taxes, and as Christmas presents, we would get camping gear. We would get sleeping bags, we would get good socks. Never underestimate the value in a good pair of socks. That's just a free tip for you. You're welcome. Anyway, we were always getting camping gear because you can invest a little bit of money in a camping gear and then go make memories with it. We've never been a big family that was more about things. We would rather buy things that we could then use to go make memories for years and years to come. Early on, I learned how to pack really, really well. I learned, what to do, what not to do, the pitfalls of packing and overpacking. And so today, that's what I'm going to share with you today. I'm going to share Kelly Egan's Guide to Camping for Dummies. Yes, that is myself included, because all of these tips, there's a reason for, which I will share with you, and you can laugh at me. That is fine. We will laugh together. Okay, let's go ahead and get into it. So you may think that this is an obvious tip, but dummy myself, you would be surprised. So that is number one, check the weather. Yes, I know the weather changes like crazy, especially in the Midwest. Check about a month before you go, check about 2 weeks before you go, and check about 3 days before you go. So you have a kind of idea of what we're taking. Obviously, what we're going to be walking into. If it's cold, grab a jacket. If it's going to be warm, I don't know, bring a hat. Check the weather. I cannot say this enough. I cannot tell you how many trips I have been on where I did not check the weather, and I just thought it was going to be hot because we were going to the south and didn't even bring a blanket, okay? Don't be me, guys. Don't be me, because you will end up laying there in your tent with all of your clothes on, just praying that you live through the night. Well, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but not by much. All right. Number two, brainstorm a list before starting to pack. Let me explain. So I don't know if I'm the only person that does this, but I get so excited about trips that my favorite part about taking a trip is packing. I know that sounds so weird, but I love it. And I'm also a very, very forgetful person. So if I don't write it down, it doesn't exist. So usually what I end up doing on my lunch break at work, 2 or 3 days before the trip, right before I start really packing, I'll sit there on my lunch break with my phone in my hand and just start writing down a list of things that I'm going to need. And I just write them down in no particular order. So it'll be like clothes, underwear, socks, razor, deodorant, and then more specific things for that trip. I'm like, oh, we're going to go somewhere nice, so I need to bring one nice outfit. This is the outfit I want to take. I brainstorm a list. Just write it all down, no real order, just kind of train of thought and write it down. Because I cannot tell you how many times I thought of something earlier in the week that I wanted to grab and couldn't remember it because I didn't write it down, and then ended up needing it and not having it. Even though I had thought to myself, oh, I should bring that scarf or whatever it is. Write it down as you think about it. So keep a note in your phone. That's actually what I do, is I leave a note in my phone and I brainstorm the week going up to the trip. Then when I get home and I'm actually ready to start collecting things and packing it, I get a piece of paper out. I actually have like a little notebook that I keep with my gear, and I write down the list. And when I write the physical list, I break it down by category and subcategory. I know it sounds excessive, but it works for me, and it might work for you. So I start off with the easy stuff. So I write clothes at the top. How many outfits am I going to need? How many days am I going to be gone? And so if it's a clothing item, I write it down, including outerwear. Then I go toiletries, gets its own list. Then I do photography. So I take my camera gear, is a whole category, and I write down all the camera gear I want to take. Then I go electronics. Phone chargers, batteries, car chargers, my podcast stuff, whatever it may be. Then I'll go kitchen stuff, food, mess kits, mugs, water bottles. Then I'll go like medications. If you have medications you have to take, I make that its own category as well. I also put like my first aid kit. I have that its own category. And so I go on and on like that. So I do the category and then I write down everything inside of that. So then as I start to mark things off. So when I get it, I'll put a check mark by it. So I'll go get my toiletries and I will put a check mark by each thing, but I do not put a line through it until it is physically in my bag. Because I have gotten things before and laid them out and left it on the counter. So my list, I put a check mark by it when I get it. When it comes out of the laundry and I folded it up and put it with all my gear. I make a big stack of all my gear before I even put anything in a bag. So when I get it out, it gets a check. When it goes into my bag, I put a line through it. And so as you get going and as you get a lot of lines and check marks, the list can start to look really busy and confusing. So then I'll go back through and I'll put a circle around anything that I have missed throughout the course of packing. So I'll have pants, socks, underwear, bras, all with a check mark and a line through it, meaning I have it out and it's already in my bag, but then there'll be like a hat or sunglasses or something that is right after them. So I'll circle that really big and really thick so that way it draws my attention to it. And as I get going and as I finish a category, so when I get all my toiletry stuff put away, I put a big star next to it. So that way I can quickly look at my list and say, oh, I got all of my toiletries. Good job. I did it. Then I'll go on to another area where I don't have a lot of stuff done. And that way it makes it really easy for me to quickly look, because I'm an extremely visual person. So if I don't see it, it doesn't exist. So when I get it out and put it in the pile with all my camping gear, it gets a check. When it's physically in the bag, I put a line through it. If it's something I still need, I circle it. And when I finish one of the categories, I put a star next to it so I can quickly move on to the next one. Okay, tip number 5 for my packing list is really another obvious one, but pack light. Guys, if you pack it, you have to take it with you. So don't do what I do. All right, confession time. I have this really, really bad habit of packing like 7 tank tops. It doesn't matter where I'm going, what time of year it is. I always just grab a handful of tank tops because I tell myself they don't take up a lot of room and I'll wear them. I will wear 2. Guys, don't be like me. Pack as light as you can. Yes, I do always pack one nice outfit in case I decide I want to go out when I'm on a trip. But do yourself a favor. Don't bring all of your socks. I also do that. I have this little pack cube that I just take all of the socks in my cupboard and I put it in there and I take like 14 socks for 4 days. I don't know why I do this. I am sorry, but I do. I take all of my socks. Get yourself some good hiking socks and just take those, guys. Don't be like me. Pack light. Do yourself a favor because if you take it, you have to carry it with you for the entire duration of your trip, and then it just gets in your way. Just, if you're not going to use it, don't take it. Simple as that. Number 6. This one is one of my favorites because the story behind it is so ridiculous. I called my little brother and I said, Logan, this is what my podcast is about this episode. What am I missing? I know there's a rule that I'm missing. And he goes, pack the essential stuff first and the stuff that's in storage. And I said, oh, that's a good one. Why? He goes, do you not remember the time we went to South Bend and both of us forgot our sleeping bags? Guys, listen to me for 1 second. I was young. My dad was taking us to South Bend, Michigan, I should say. And my little brother and I, both of us, forgot our sleeping bags in January. It was so cold that we ended up having to rent one of those cabins at the KOAs because he and I were so cold. Even with all the extra blankets that my dad had packed, we were freezing. So when you're packing, get the big, easy stuff first that is in storage. So go get your water purification. Go get your sleeping bag. Do not forget your sleeping bag, guys. That is not a lesson you guys want to have to learn firsthand. So get the stuff that's in storage, in your garage, in your storage unit, in your basement. Get the stuff that you have that is for camping purposes only first. Tent, sleeping bag, water purification. But get that stuff first. Get the big, bulky, easy stuff first that's in storage that your life depends on if you don't have it. Do that first. Number 7, revisit your list when you get home. Now, I know this sounds stupid, but for years and years and years, I volunteered at a church camp. And every year I would come home and I would be like, dang it, I wish I had this because I needed it. So after a couple years, I started getting smart and I started writing it down in the journal that I had for camp. I like journals. I like writing things down. You guys will notice this about me. So I would write it down. I'll say, okay, next year, bring a watch with you because you can't have your phone. And I have to be at different parts of this camp at different times throughout the day with no watch or phone to keep the time because you can't have your phone on camp. So I would write things like that down, like, oh, next year bring rain boots. Next year bring this. Next year bring that. So I started to do that with camping trips. Whenever there is something that I forgot that I needed, I write it down. Write it down in your travel journal if you want to. Write it down on your packing list when you get home. But write down the things that you wish you would have had, because the next time you go to that same place, you're going to be like, oh yeah, there was something I wanted to bring and I can't remember what it was. Flip back through your journal at the end. Oh man, I wish I would have brought da-da-da-da-da. And then be like, oh yeah, I do want to take that. That's a good idea. Good job, me. Pat yourself on the back. So there you go, guys. Kelly Egan's packing guide for dummies. Number 1, check the weather. Number 2, brainstorm a list before you go on your phone. Number 3, rewrite your list by category and subcategory on a paper, guys. Let's get paper and pencil. You will thank yourself or me, either one. Number 4, check it when you have it out. Put a line through it when you've packed it. Circle it if you still need it and put a star next to it when you did it. Number 5, pack light. Number 6, pack essential stuff first, and the stuff that's in storage, like your sleeping bag. You're welcome. And number 7, at the end of your trip, revisit your list when you get home and write down the things you wish you would have had with you when you were on your trip. So that is it for us today, guys. Thank you so much for being here. And remember, when you're out there, leave it better than when you found it, and take nothing but memories and leave nothing but tracks. See you guys in the next one. Bye.